Welcome back to another episode of the Super Sun storyline. Now, anybody who's been following this channel for a while knows that I love the Super Sun storyline. So when we last left off, Jonathan had come over and joined up with the Teen Titans to fight against a guy named Cracklow, who we discovered got his powers from an alternate dimension version of himself. I know it sounds confusing, but if you aren't confused yet, at the end of that storyline, John and Damian were both kidnapped by the other universe to go to that universe to try and save it. Welcome to Super Sun's Planet of the Capes. In our last video, Damian and Jonathan, along with the Teen Titans, had taken a mission to stop the magician Cracklow from creating villains from an alternate reality using a special clay. But just as Damian and Jonathan went to collect samples of the mysterious clay, a portal ripped open, pulling the two young boys, the Super Suns, into an alternate world. Before Damian could even finish yelling at Jonathan about training and Jonathan becoming a Teen Titan, the two were pulled from their world by a giant set of tentacles. John struggles, yelling, "This was a bit like a booby trap from the Cracklow guy." And Damian says, "The nutty wizard did say something about a greater destiny, didn't he?" Damian then tells Jonathan to heat him up, and Jonathan turns his heat vision to blast away the arms, and a voice calls out, "Return to life, dirt." A giant head begins to pull out of the ground, shouting, "You have taken what belongs to me to another world." Before the giant head can say another world, two young girls, Hardline and Big Shot, come through, destroying the arms and freeing the boys. John and Damian are thrown to the ground, and Jonathan asks, "Who the H are they?" And Damian tells him, "I have no idea, but your parents are like a whole dimension away. You can curse here, John." As the two pick themselves up, they see the girls beginning to get overwhelmed, and they quickly jump back into the fight to give them a hand. John begins to focus his heat vision as Damian ties the tentacles together, and soon an explosion goes off, throwing everyone away. John gets back up, telling him, "It looks like it's gone, but where did it go?" And before anyone can answer, Damian tells the girls, "All right, I need answers. Are there a lot of creatures living on this planet?" And the girl, Big Shot, says, "No, it's the only one of its kind. But you misunderstood. It's not living on the planet, it is the planet." Big Shot then grabs John's hand, telling him, "We have to hurry and leave before it returns. So tell your little brother to follow." Damian shouts, asking, "Why does everyone assume that if you're taller, you're older?" And Hardline says, "We have to go now." A little while later, as Damian and John follow Hardline and Big Shot back to their village, they give the girls a quick explanation as to how they arrived in this universe. Big Shot says, "Yeah, if Earth is the name of your home planet, then this is definitely somewhere else." Hardline says that they are prisoners here, and that thing back there was Gardas, sort of a living planet that terrorized their galaxy for a millennia. Once the four of them touch down, John asks, what do they mean that they were prisoners? And Damian says, "Look, fighting an actual planet is not on our to-do list. We're not sticking around, John." Responding to Damian's statement, Big Shot says, "You had no intention of coming here. Gardas, the living planet, was our conqueror. Our home world is called Euro, where its cities are vast and filled with wonders. There are a select few who are gifted with talents and abilities to protect the citizens, and as younger kids, we dreamed of becoming like them. But even as the heroes fought and stopped the villains, there was one that they couldn't. Gardas entered the orbit, and before its mass could even begin to wreak havoc on Euro's gravity, it tore through our world, using Euro's resources as its own." Hardline then continues the story by stating that one of their heroes had helped a handful of them escape using his magic to teleport them before the atmosphere was destroyed. The great wizard Cracklow brought them here, and right now their focus is to destroy Gardas. Damian shouts, "Wait, Cracklow? That's the name of the guy that we just tracked down here before getting dragged here." Sorry to say, he's no wizard. He's just some loser with some weird clay. He created a bunch of villains from that stuff, and then we had to take him down. Jonathan asks, "Are we really sure we're talking about the same guy? My dad once told me about alternate dimensions. There could be two versions of this guy, Damian." Hardlight tells him, but their Cracklow had the clay. It was his secret weapon. And Big Shot says, "Look, this conversation is taking longer than it would seem. We need to hurry and hide." As the four start to head deeper into the broken town, a young boy shouts that he is here. And as they turn back, a faceless sentry reaches out towards the boy. And as Jonathan leaps in to help, he's punched away. Damian fires his grappling hook, stating that besides the brute strength, he's already seen what this guy can do. The cord wraps around the sentry, and Damian calls out to Jonathan to give him some of that big bad wolf action. Jonathan jumps back in, taking a deep breath, and using his cold breath, he freezes the sentry in place. Hardline runs in, kicking and shattering the creation, and Damian says, "Your planet has a bunch of this stuff, but it's mostly gone except for what Cracklow had. There's a possible theory that we could get inside before the sentries come around again." Everyone heads inside, and as the little boy peeks over the rock, Jonathan turns back and gives him a thumbs up. Meanwhile, down in Gardas' core, he begins to repeat himself, stating, "Feed, create, feed, create." More clay figures are being made, and the one that is creating them is the trapped Cracklow. Later that night, Damien returns from some reconnaissance, and he says that there are some differences here, like how he doesn't trust the water supply. But Cracklow, whoever he is the key to all of this. Jonathan tells him that he's sorry, but he has a theory too. We're looking at two different wizards. What if the dumb one that we fought was given the magic mud? Maybe this world's Cracklow assumed that his counterpart was a good guy. Damien says, actually, that's not a bad angle. But why do that? What would be the point? And Jonathan then asks, what about what the girls said? Their planet is filled with it, so maybe Gardas is trying to consume it. Maybe he was trying to starve Gardas. Damien pats Jonathan's shoulder, telling him that's actually a really good idea, especially for you. But before they can go on, a hole is ripped out of the wall, and Gardas appears, and an army of clay figures begin to shout, "It's time to feed." Gardas shouts to the boys that he is Planet. The clay soldiers all begin to attack Damien and Jonathan, and just as the two easily finish them off, Gardas captures Big Shot and Hardline. He shouts back to the boys, "I am the Planet. These creatures are my biomass. They have altered the clay and it will be restored so its life force can be consumed." Damien yells that those are people that you have, people from a planet that you destroyed, and they are ready to fight until their last breath. Jonathan says, wait, don't listen to him, Yogurt, or whatever your name is. We give up. The tentacles come up grabbing the boys, and Damien yells, "Give up! Like hell!" But before Damien can finish, Gardas pulls the four of them down to its core, and as everyone is thrown down, Damien asks, "Why would we give up?" And Jonathan tells him, it's not like we're actually going to defeat a planet. We have to do something to save the girls. Just as the girls begin to work on a plan to fight back, a voice tells them that he's sorry to say this, but there's nobody to stop Gardas. Everyone looks over and the girls shout, "It's Cracklow!" And they begin to run towards him, but Damien says, "No, this is the guy from our world. He's the reason that we were pulled here." And Cracklow sighs, stating that he should have never listened to himself. Is any of this even real? Damien grabs Cracklow, slamming him into a wall, asking how about he shows him exactly how real he is. And Cracklow says, no, you're real. The girls tell him that they are not. He knows this because he had created them to fight against him, just clay memories pretending at life. Big Shot says pretending. Their Cracklow is a jerk. This world's Cracklow was a lot nicer. Cracklow tells them no, that's what he, the other me, wanted you to believe. He wanted to give you the most careless, irresponsible gift of all, hope. It all started when he was attempting to perform his final spell, one that would bring him notoriety in a world of flying heroes. The timing must have been perfect because at that very moment, a portal to his counterpart opened. He handed him a cask of clay with a promise that he could create life, and with the few moments he had, he explained everything about the world that he was trying to save. He said that his world was destroyed, and he had remade some of its people from memory. Even their powers could be mimicked. Though Gardas controlled and fed off the clay, anything created would be granted independent thought. And then the portal closed. Big Shot and Hardline looked at themselves, stating that they feel real. None of this can be right. They were heroes. And Damien thinks for a moment and says, you need to save the metaphysical discussion for later and focus on what's in front of you. A mad planet's on its way to use you to invade our world. I have a plan, and it requires everyone to ignore their emotional state and do exactly. Jonathan stops him, telling him, wait, even if everything Cracklow said is true, that doesn't change a thing. These girls helped us when we needed help. Mom taught me that while I may have a hard time describing what a hero is, I'll know it when I see it. And right now, I see it in them. Cracklow shouts that they're just a bunch of kids. They're powerless against Gardas. And Damien covers Cracklow's mouth, stating, these children just kicked your butt on the other planet. I'm sure we can do it again on this one. Big Shot asks what they're supposed to do if they're made of clay. Gardas could just destroy them in an instant. And Jonathan tells them, you do what every hero does the best that you can. Damien quietly says, geez, you sound like your dad. And Jonathan whispers back, I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Suddenly the ground cracks, his tentacles shoot up, grabbing everyone, and he pulls Cracklow close, stating, you know how to use the portal. Open it so I can feed. Cracklow begins to say that he needs the children to focus on their homeworld so he could, but Jonathan begins blasting away, yelling, we're not helping you with anything. Gardas shouts, silence, man-child. And Jonathan asks, man-child? The name's not man-child, it's Superboy. However, as the tentacles grab a hold of everyone else, more clay soldiers appear, grabbing Jonathan and pulling him to the ground. Cracklow fixes his glasses, telling Gardas to keep the super one down. He's the only one with true power. The portal begins to open, and Cracklow says that he will lead Gardas back to their world to feed on the stolen clay, allowing him to conquer countless more planets. The world will alas know the name of Cracklow. As the rest of the portal opens up, everything begins to get sucked in, and Gardas begins to push his way in. He's about to make his way to the main Earth, to the real DC universe. And as he stops short, he discovers he's not able to fit, and he asks Cracklow, what did you just do? Cracklow tells him, the best that I can, and he closes the portal, cutting off the head of the planet. Damien and Jonathan run over to help the girls up, and Damien asks, where did the planet head go? Jonathan tells him that Gardas disappeared, but maybe not for long. Will the girls be able to pull themselves back together? Magical clay flies up and Cracklow shouts that he can fix them! He can make them just as the other remembers them! The clay starts to reform and attach to the girls, and soon the two of them stand back up without even a scratch on them. Cracklow begins pushing the boys towards the portal, stating that they have just a moment. They have to leave now if they're going to make their way back to their world. Jonathan tells him, wait! We still need to fight! And Cracklow says the bioelectric surge that he made will course through the planet's cerebral core for weeks, giving him enough time to make a clay army. Hardline walks up, grabbing the boys, dragging them to the portal, stating, "You heard him, now hurry!" Before they can go, they would like to say thank you, though, for their kind words and actions. Their world is lucky to have heroes like them. As the four of them hug, the girls shout, time for them to go, and they shove them through. Damien calls back, "We'll find a way back! And if Cracklow doesn't save you, then..." But Cracklow stops him, stating, "He will help the girls from here. Don't worry." As Damien and Jonathan go back to their normal lives, Big Shot and Hardline begin their new ones as heroes. Hardline finishes the molding, and as she steps back, she reveals the emblem to be a combination of both Damien's bat symbol and Jonathan's crest. There is now an entire other dimension of heroes following the example of the Super Sons. Big Shot says it looks like they're open for business, and Hardline tells her good, because the new batch is here. And the first thing that she would like to ask them is, who's ready to save the world? And there you have it, the conclusion to the Super Sons Planet of the Cape storyline. Next up is an annual featuring the Super Pets. I'm really debating if we're going to cover that, so let me know in the comments down below. Do you want a Super Pets storyline? Because I kind of want to do it, but if you're not going to watch it, why would I do it? Also, if you noticed, I do Damien like I do my Batman voice, but a little higher pitch, because I picture Damien being a kid trying to emulate his father, who does a gruff voice, so he's trying to like copy that at the same time. Do you guys agree with that? Because I just want to know, how do you think Damien sounds in your head? Anyway, don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, where I'll give you single tweet reviews as I read the storylines, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Comicstorian, where we ask you a lot of questions that are related to comic books. Yes, I stumbled on the word questions, but you know what? This is how real this is. I'll see you next time.